guys, I am so excited for this video because I'm cooking with Stef. I've only met her like 6 months ago, but I've had the pleasure of eating her like home cooked meals maybe like 3 or 4 times, and it is so fucking bomb. So I had to ask her, I was like, Stef, I really want to put some more food stuff on my channel. Would you be interested? And she said yes.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. And the best part is that Stef, in the future, watch out for Stef's website because she's gonna have a lot of recipes.
It's true.
And the first thing that we're gonna cook is mac and cheese. My favorite is boxed mac and cheese, but Stef was like, if you have really bomb homemade mac and cheese, you never want to go back?
I'm not sure. I like boxed mac and cheese too, but I think homemade mac and cheese is just like a different animal, and you'll acquire a taste for it.
And I'm really excited for that because I've whenever I go to a restaurant and they have mac and cheese, I'm very tempted to try it, and I do for the most part, but I've never had a homemade mac and cheese where I was like, oh my god, okay, this is gonna replace my Kraft box.
I got you.
Follow us. We're gonna go to the grocery store and we will be back. Yeah,
let's do it. So we need a few different things. The recipe that we're using doesn't actually have onion in it, but I think that adding a little bit of onion to the cheese sauce makes a lot of sense and tastes really good. So first we're gonna get a shallot.
What's the difference between a shallot and a regular onion?
A shallot is slightly sweeter. You can tell that it is also smaller, but essentially it just has like a different sugar content than a normal onion. And like a subtler flavor. It's not as cloying.
Cloying is an adjective, and it means disgusting or distasteful by reason of excess, like cloying sweetness, or excessively sweet or sentimental, a cloying romantic comedy.
Like if you've had a raw onion, you know that it has like a bite to it, which can be really good in contrast to other things, but a shallot is like a little bit milder.
Oh, I didn't know that. Is there such a thing called sweet onion?
Yeah, there is. Vidalia onions, which are also called Spanish onions, are a large white onion, and that too also has a higher sugar content, as opposed to like a small yellow onion. A red onion also has a higher sugar content than a normal yellow onion.
Oh my gosh.
We can go look at them. And
okay.
Yeah. Here are the different types of onions. That one at the end.
That's a sweet onion?
Yep, this is a sweet onion. So you can see it's like slightly flatter.
Okay.
In shape, and it's like a little bit yellower.
Yeah.
Then these ones are like just a typical normal
regular onion.
Yep.
And then we have the red. What's the white one? I've never seen a white one.
It seems like it's called a Spanish onion.
Oh, that means it's a little sweeter.
Yeah, it is. Those ones I like to grill. And then red onions I typically use in most of my cooking. Like I said, they're slightly sweeter than these, but not as sweet as shallots.
Got it.
Yeah. So next we're gonna get some cheese.
Eee.
Yeah, I mean, it is mac and cheese, so we need to get the mac and we need to get the cheese. So we'll be using primarily cheddar as well as Gruyere. And Gruyere is a really good melting cheese. Like if you've ever had French onion soup, it's what's on top of French onion soup.
Oh, it's on top.
Yeah, they usually put like a slice of bread and then they put like a pound of cheese and they put it under the broiler so it gets like super bubbly and a little bit brown.
Oh.
Yeah, so, alright. Huge cheese selection here. Let's search for where the Gruyere might be.
What is the color of Gruyere?
Most cheese is like about the shade of Parm.
Okay.
Yeah, these are Italian cheeses and Gruyere is a French
Oh,
cheese.
right there.
Cool, yeah. There should be, doesn't seem like there are too many options. But yeah. Okay, so we have our Gruyere, and now we're gonna pick out cheddar. I feel like cheddar can be difficult to decide which one to get because there are usually a lot of different options. I shy away from yellow cheddars because it's not really a natural color for white cheddar, and the other thing that you want to try to choose is something that's pretty sharp. Because you're adding the cheese to what's essentially just like a thickened milk sauce, you want to make sure that it's a potent flavor because it's going to be diluted by the milk. So even if you typically don't eat like super sharp cheddar cheese, you want to get something more sharp than you normally eat so that the flavor of the cheddar comes through and it's not just like a creamy sauce with no flavor. But I really like this kind. It's Cabot. It's this like farmhouse classic.
Yeah.
And it says seriously sharp, so we know that it's going to be pretty potent.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Question.
When would you use mild cheddar?
It's really about your preference. Some people like more pungent flavors and some people like smoother flavors.
Yeah.
I feel like a milder cheddar can be really good on a cheese board because it won't interfere with other things you might be eating, like a fig jam or like the flavor of a cracker. Like
Got it.
It can play better with others.
Yeah.
It won't overpower anything. Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna get 2 of these. So we need a lot of cheese.
Yay. What would you say about Parm?
So Parm is like a nutty cheese. It actually has like an umami flavor.
Okay.
because it's super salty, if you taste very closely, like you almost get some of the salty flavors of soy. That's why I say it's like umami flavors. And it's a harder cheese than cheddar.
By harder, do you mean just like?
Yeah, like literally. Like,
okay.
Yeah, and the texture, you'll feel like it feels less creamy.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, so now we're gonna get some pasta.
Oh, I have a question about mac and cheese pasta.
Yes.
Can you actually use any kind? Like, can I make mac and cheese with, I don't know, this ditalini one or like penne?
Technically, you could. I think that it makes sense to get a pasta that has ridges in it that can hold on to the sauce.
Okay.
Because you get like a pasta that's totally smooth, or that isn't larger, then there are fewer places for the sauce to go, and it's just going to sort of be suspended in the sauce as opposed to the sauce clinging to the pasta.
That's a good tip.
Yeah. So there are a bunch of different types. Typically, I use like a corkscrew pasta or a shell because the corkscrew has like a lot of surface area and it can stick in all those ridges. Shells are also good because they have the pocket, of course, which is the shell, but then they also have these ridges that will hang on to the sauce.
Yeah. Okay.
But I think we should go with like classic shells.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Grocery, you have a call on line 1. Grocery, call on line 1.
Some people might be afraid of homemade mac and cheese because they finally see like the high fat content of it.
Yeah.
But if you want a really creamy sauce, I would recommend using whole milk.
Yeah.
You definitely can use 2% milk. You could even use skim milk, but skim milk is going to give you sort of a weird texture. Oh, we're just going to get bread. So most mac and cheeses have like a crunchy topping to them.
Yes.
And so normally I don't buy white bread, but for this recipe, essentially you like tear up white bread and you put a little bit of butter on it so that when you put it on top of mac and cheese and then it all goes in the oven, it turns into this like crispy, crunchy topper.
Okay. Okay.
It's a nice contrast to like the creaminess.
So we have the milk lined up, the cheeses. What are these things?
This is nutmeg and red pepper flakes.
Ooh, red pepper flakes.
Yep, a little bit of spice.
I'm a little nervous, but okay.
Do you not like spicy food?
I can't handle spicy food. I enjoy it, so I'm intrigued with this.
Very little bit. Yeah. Okay. Don't worry.
And then we have the flour, the shallots.
Yes.
Butter, bread, and then we have the pan over there.
Indeed. And macaroni over there.
And macaroni over there.
First thing that we're going to do is make the topping. And so this is going to involve tearing up the bread and melting some butter to coat the bread with. And then we'll put it on top of the mac and cheese at the end.
Anything I can help with?
Yes, you can actually start grating the cheese. So that's why I set up this little station over here. When you're grating cheese, I think it's helpful to do it on a pliable surface. So I have these cutting mats, which as you can see are super pliable. But if you don't have this, if you have wax paper or aluminum foil, I would put that underneath your grater so then when you want to pick it up, you can go like this and pour it into whatever you're going to pour it into. Depending on the size of the shredded cheese that you want, you choose different grating styles. For a cheese like this, I go with like a medium grate. This is usually for like Parmesan cheese or that side. I've actually never really used
the big one.
So yeah, this is like my go-to.
Okay.
Yep, so just go up and down like that.
Oh, up and down.
Yep. Go both ways. And yeah, it should go pretty easily because it's not super hard to spin out for a bit, so it's a little bit softer.
Cool.
So I'm tearing up the bread and adding it to a tablespoon of melted butter. And we'll just mix this around.
Oh, and it's not like super fine bread. You're just ripping it apart.
Just ripping it apart, yeah. Because it's going to be our crunchy topping for the mac and cheese. A nice contrast to the sort of supple pasta and creamy sauce. So, yeah.
So do you normally let cheese sit out for a little bit if you're going to do this?
Yeah, I think it can be helpful. The harder the cheese, maybe like the easier it is to grate. It's like you want to hit a middle ground because if it's too soft, then it can feel like it's like melting under the like warmth of your hand. Yeah. But if it's too hard, like
it's just hard.
Yeah, like especially when you're grating parm, like because it's a hard cheese, plus it's made harder by the fridge.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean like when a cheese gets softer, it's just like the fat in the cheese becoming less coagulated. Yeah. Alright, so I just added 3 tablespoons of butter to this pan, and I'm going to let it melt. And in the meantime, I'm going to cut up these shallots really finely. You definitely don't want big pieces of shallot. It should be like pretty much minced. And then we'll saute them for a little bit. And the reason why there's so much butter is because we're eventually going to turn that into a roux, which will thicken the sauce.
What is a roux?
So a roux is any combination of fat and flour. Okay. And it becomes a thickening agent because of the starch in flour.
Okay.
And so you might see a roux in any sort of cream sauce, essentially. It's what allows the milk to become thicker, and then you add the cheese into the milk, and then it becomes a cheesy cream sauce, as opposed to just like a straight up milk Alfredo.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I want to show people how to cut an onion.
Sounds good.
So, well, this is a shallot, but we can just call it an onion. So I just cut off the ends, and then I'm going to cut it lengthwise like this. So I'm going to hold both sides firmly and then go through like that.
And you still left the skin on for now?
For right now, yep. But now I'm going to go in and peel off the skin.
Okay.
And so sometimes that means also taking off the outer layer, which is fine. It can be difficult to just take the skin off, so
yeah.
You lose one layer, not a big. Shallots can be a little bit tricky because they're tiny, but what I would suggest is holding your fingers like this, so you're putting like a little clamp around this, then taking your knife and putting it parallel like that. And then doing lengthwise cuts. So you're not going to go all the way through to the end. You're going to go a little bit in from the end.
Okay.
And do cuts like that. And then you're going to run the knife through in like a rocking motion like that.
Yeah.
And you'll get
woo!
tiny little chunks. And all the while, keep your fingers curled under.
Yeah.
You get a good grip. But also you don't chop your fingernails into the shallots. Yeah, and then if you wanted something even smaller, you could just like run your knife through the pile.
Yeah.
But at least at this point, they're like all the same size.
Yeah.
So then when you run your knife through, hopefully they'll just all get smaller.
Did you want a piece of cheese?
Yes. Thank you. Sharp cheddar. Now, I'm just going to saute these for a little bit. You want them to become translucent. That's when you know that they're fully cooked and won't have any more of that sort of cloying onion taste, that raw taste. We also don't want them to really take on any color because that would add a different flavor to the mac and cheese. Like when it starts getting brown, then the sugars are caramelizing in the onions, and it's a really pleasant flavor, but not the one that we're going for mac and cheese.
Okay.
So this probably needs to go for about 3 minutes or so. And I have it on sort of a medium heat, but I'm going to even make it a little bit lower because I don't want the butter to brown, because that too
would color it.
Yeah, and we'll make it like, give it a nuttier flavor. Which
Okay.
again, like isn't bad, but not what we're going for.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, see how they're getting translucent now?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think we'll give it like another minute, and then we can add the flour.
Oh, just straight up in there.
Yep, we're going to add the flour, and we'll see that it'll take on this like paste texture, and then we're going to add the milk. So we should also measure out the milk now.
Okay.
So now we're going to add, the flour, but I'm actually going to switch to a whisk, because I think that that's easier. All right.
Ready?
Yep. So basically you want to mix it such that you don't see any more white flour, and at first you might be like, oh no, will it all get absorbed? But it does, and it makes this sort of paste. And you want to cook this for at least a minute. So right now it's 4:36. At 4:37 we can add the milk, but the reason why it needs to cook a little bit by itself before you add the milk is that you want to cook out the raw flour flavor. And that happens pretty quickly. Depending on the recipe, sometimes you cook a roux for longer because you want a dark roux, which would then lead to like a dark sauce. And again, it would just be the butter browning and getting like nuttier, which would give like a different depth of flavor to the sauce that you're making. Like if you've ever had like jambalaya or something like that.
I have not.
It's like this stew from New Orleans.
Yeah.
And the sauce is like really brown, and it's because that you cook the roux for a really long time.
Oh.
Yeah.
This?
Yep.
And I need to put 3/4 more. Ooh, shit. And 3/4 and a dabble.
Great. Yeah, so now you just want to keep whisking, and essentially the roux will get incorporated with the milk. And this is a pretty long stretch. It's going to take about 8 minutes for the milk to thicken. Great. You do want to keep whisking throughout this whole time. Otherwise, if you kept it stagnant, the milk that's closest to the bottom would burn. And you don't want that. That would be bad flavor.
And then you're still doing this on low.
Yeah, I actually cranked it up to medium now.
Okay.
And then, once this is thickened, we can add the cheese.
Holy crap.
Yeah, we're getting close. You might be able to see that there's like a lot of steam coming off the milk now, which is good, right? It's getting a lot warmer, but we're gonna wait till we start to see like bubbles form. So you just want it to come to like a simmer, and then you know it'll be hot enough to melt the cheese, and it should also be thicker, but we still have a ways to go.
Yeah.
Lost an elbow. Is there anything that you're afraid of in the kitchen? I have some friends who don't like taking things out of the oven. They're scared of sharp knives.
No.
They're scared of heat.
No, no.
Okay,
My
that's
mom
good.
has trained me to not be afraid.
Good. Because, yeah, with those people, I like...
You don't want them in the kitchen.
Like, I definitely understand their fear, but it's like, definitely makes cooking with them more difficult.
Yeah.
Or makes cooking for them. Like, when they cook, it makes it more difficult for themselves.
Yeah.
We still just need to wait for simmering to happen.
And we just need like the tiniest of baby bubbles, right?
Yeah, like those bubbles on the side are just from the aeration of me stirring.
Yeah.
But when they start to self-initiate, you'll see. Well, oh,
it's starting.
here we go.
That looks
Okay, so we'll wait to see a few more. I'm just gonna move this so it's more centered. Yeah, but this is what you're looking for. And so yeah, and this might seem thin now, but when we add the cheese, it's gonna make it even thicker. So
Yeah.
yeah, let's keep whisking. And it's also good that the cheese was at room temperature, because if we had just taken it out of the fridge and it was still cold, even in its shredded form, it would lower the temperature of the sauce.
And we don't want that?
Well, it would make it more difficult for it to melt.
Got it.
Yeah.
Damn, guys, look at that!
So cheesy. Ooh. Yeah, so we should keep whisking because I can still see some shreds. Alright, and now we can also add our spices. So I didn't add any salt up until now, so once this is all melted, we can taste it and adjust the salt level. Cheese is salty, so that's why I wait till the end. And then we'll also add the nutmeg, a little bit of red pepper flake, and some cracked black pepper.
Okay.
I think a lot of home cooks don't think to taste as they go along, but
Yeah.
it's super important. And make sure to just blow on it, because don't burn your mouth.
Oh, shit, that's delicious.
You like it?
I'm so excited!
So I'm going to add like about 1/4 of a teaspoon of red pepper flakes. And then I'm also going to add about the same amount of nutmeg, but I'm just going to do that right into here because I can see how much it is at the top. And so nutmeg, normally you put in pumpkin pie, maybe apple pie. You mostly see like sweet riffs on
Yeah.
nutmeg, but it adds like a warmth and it's like unexpected flavor. Because even though melty cheese sauce is super delicious, it can become a little monotonous.
Yeah.
So this sort of adds something unexpected.
Okay.
What do you think about salt level, Juliet? Should I add any more salt?
So I'm so used to eating with like no salt because my mom doesn't cook with my salt. So maybe it could be a little more.
Okay. Yeah, I'll add a little bit more and it would be fine. And that I'm also just doing to sight. You don't need too much cracked black pepper. I'd also say like 1/4 of a teaspoon is sufficient. Alright, stir this all in. We'll take one more taste and then we'll add the pasta. Cool. I feel like the sauce to pasta ratio is like a little more sauce than pasta, but I'm not mad about it. Some of that liquid is going to evaporate in the oven.
Yeah.
And some of it will also be absorbed in the bread topping we'll put on. So
Cool.
all right, now we can bring this over to our pan.
Did you oil this or do you not need to oil
I
it?
didn't, just because like the sauce is like pretty fatty.
Yeah.
It won't be bad if we get like a little bit of a crust around the outside. It just adds like a little bit of a textural component. Some people particularly like the mac and cheese that's like right up against the pan because it gets crunchy, like I said.
Yeah.
All right, now I'm gonna add the bread topping, which is over here. Oh no, I'm gonna add the cheese first.
Oh, more
A
cheese.
little bit more cheese on top. Yeah.
Okay.
So you've had mac and cheese out at restaurants before?
Yes.
But it's been disappointing?
Yeah.
Okay. And did it have like a mix into it? Like people are obsessed with lobster mac and cheese, which I really don't like. But
I normally try not to order the lobster mac and cheese. I've had one in Maine, and I thought that was like amazing.
Okay.
But I'm always like the one to say, I'm gonna try the plainest thing. If that's good, then I can trust that your additions.
Sure. You want to see it in its like neutral form.
Yeah.
I want to see if it's going for about 20. And the oven's at 375, or it should be. No, it's not yet. It's only at 250, so we'll wait till it heats up.
Woo!
So we're a little dark here, so
It's
I probably
okay.
should have covered it with aluminum foil, but it's all good.
Are you ready?
I'm so ready.
Okay. Oh my god. The cheese wraps around the macaroni like perfectly. I love this bread.
A little crunch.
Mm-hmm. A little hint of red pepper, it does give it like the good amount of flavor. Because I think you're right, like if it's just cheese, it's kind of bland.
Yeah. You can get tired after a few bites, but
You guys heard it here. This is the recipe you should have for some non-boring mac and cheese.
there you go. And if you still love Kraft, that's fine, but you should also try this.
I know, it didn't take that long to make either.
Yeah, pretty easy.
Yeah. Which is what I'm all about.
Exactly. So when Thanksgiving comes around or the next snowstorm, that's when you want to break out comfort food like this, I think.
My name is
Juliet!
with a nugget of chuang.